Okay, folks, this is a brand new video and it's super important you watch the whole video. There's some really good information in it to make you understand how all the pieces of the puzzle, come together. All right? And like I said, the Seattle Space Needle is in King County in the state of Washington. And I told you that Elvis, he was known as the king. And like I've shown 100 times, that Elvis was the first famous person to have anything to do with the Seattle Space Needle when he made a movie called It Happened at the World's Fair as soon as it opened back in the early 60s. And notice that Elvis's name is knocking down the Space Needle. Why would they show that? Okay? And up here says Elvis swinging higher than the Space Needle. And I told you that Elvis, the year that he took the polio vaccine on live television, he was the first famous person to take an injection on live television. And he did it back in 1956, October 28th, which is Bill Gates' first birthday, right? And on that same year that he took the injection, a horse won one of the most prestigious races, which was called the Kentucky Derby, and he almost won the Triple Crown. He won 2 out of the 3 races, but this horse won the Kentucky Derby, and his name was Needles. And this is the same year that Elvis took the needle. And I told you Elvis took that needle on Bill Gates' first birthday, October 28, 1956. And Bill Gates is born in Seattle, Washington. So again, it's connected to a needle because that's where the Space Needle is. And Bill Gates is born there. Anyway, folks, listen, I'm not going to show every connection, that has to do with the dates and everything, okay? Because I've done so many videos connecting, the dates and everything to Elvis, okay? Because Elvis is the chosen one, okay? And Trump is his, Janus twin. I told you, it's like they're the two-faced God, Janus, Elvis and Trump. Anyway, Washington was founded 11/11/1889. So the first thing I want to show you is that the word Space Needle, this is what it equals in gematria. And notice that it equals the exact same numbers as the word fallen angel. And I discovered that years ago, okay? When I first started talking about this. Anyway, Space Needle equals fallen angel. Because I told you Elvis is the representation of Lucifer, who was thrown out of heaven and became Satan. And notice that the word Space Needle, the anagram, it's the exact same letters I'm using. Every single letter, I'm using it only one time, and this is what it matches. You see the word EL? EL means God in Hebrew. So the anagram for Space Needle is L needs cape, to fly. And Elvis used to wear a cape in concert with the phoenix bird and the dragon and peacocks and whatever the heck else, he used to wear in concert on his concert outfits. So L needs cape, which means God, and Elvis starts with EL, get it? L needs cape, or L escape den. A den is like where like a wild animal lives, you know what I mean? So what's important here is what the word Space Needle equals. It equals 89, 44, 133 in gematria, okay? This is the most important numbers, what you're seeing right here. All right, I could have wrote the rest for the backwards numbers and everything, but you don't need it. This is what's important. And for the people who are new to the channel, just stick with me. You'll see how it all connects, okay? You got to watch the whole video, and you'll see all the pieces of the puzzle come together. So the 133rd prime number, and the reason I'm showing you the 133rd prime number is because you see the total for the word Space Needle equals 133, and you'll see how it connects, as the video goes. But the word Space Needle, the total is 133. And the 133rd prime number equals 751. And if you add the 133 to the 751, you get 884. And why is that important? Because I told you guys that Trump, he gets his head wound on August 4th, which is the 8-4, and he comes back like 3 or 4 days later, and they tell the world that he healed from his deadly wound on either 8-7 or 8-8, which is 4 days later, right? So it's 8-4, and then 4 days later would be 8-8. So it's basically the numbers 884, you know. And Elvis turns 88 next year, actually in a couple of weeks, on January 8th in 2023. He'll be 88 years old. So that's another connection to what I was just showing you. But the Seattle event is on June 11th, okay? That's the, you know, this is what's going to be coming first. There's going to be a spectacular event in Seattle, and then somehow after the spectacular event, the image of Elvis or his number or the number of his name becomes part of this spectacular event in Seattle. Anyway, back to what I was showing you, the 8-4, and then 4 days later, it'd be 8-8, get it? So 8-4, 8-8-4, which is what I was showing you here, you know. But anyway, the point is everything connects to the 133, okay, which connects to the Space Needle. But, you know, there's your 884. And for the people who know my videos, let me show you why this is so important. The 133rd prime number was 751, right? And then you add the 133, right? But check this out. If you say the numbers backwards, it's 157331. And you remember I've been doing videos explaining all that. The 37th prime number is 157, and the 37 is the EL number. If you turn the 3 and 7 upside down and backwards, whatever, it looks like the letters EL, like the first two letters of Elvis. EL means God in Hebrew. And 67 is what the word Elvis equals. The name Elvis equals 67, and Elvis's identical twin Jesse, spelled with an I, equals 67. Okay? And it equals 331. And that's the backwards of 133. 331. You see? You see what I'm talking about? You telling me that they don't know what they're doing here? And you remember I told you that the 133rd prime number was 751, and then you add the 133, you get 884? Look at this incredible equation. If you added every single number between 1 through 133, it equals 8,840. 884 with a crown, because the 0 or letter O is a crown, or it can be nothing. All right? You see that? 1 through 133, add every single number, it equals 8840. And just to show you that the 884 is not a coincidence, did you know that the year and the date that Trump was born, 6/14/1946, to the exact day that King Charles was born in 1948, it's 884 days or 885 days if you add the day. So there's your 884 up to King Charles's birthday from Trump's birth date. Okay? And that same year that King Charles was born is when Israel was founded in 1948. And 48 is the backwards numbers of 84. And I told you Trump gets his head wound on 8-4 and then comes back on 8-8. Elvis turns 88 in about a week and a half. And I told you that Elvis is the representation of Lucifer, okay? Lucifer was adorned in jewels, and he had some musical talent, Lucifer in heaven. He was like the Pied Piper, the pee-pee, okay? And the king, if you put the words the king, look at that. It equals almost the exact same numbers as Lucifer, because Elvis was known as the king. And Seattle's in King County. The only number that's different is right here, 3-4 instead of 4-3. That's the only numbers that are different in Lucifer forward and Lucifer backward. And the king is the only difference, you see? The 34 right there. And you'll see in a moment why I'm showing you Lucifer's numbers and the king's numbers, 7438. Pay attention to the 7438 because this is the more important number. It's the forward numbers. This is the backwards. So 7438 for the king and Lucifer. Just keep watching. It'll all come together, the puzzle. Just wait. So if you went forward from the first day of the year, which is January 1st, if you went forward 7,438 days, which is 7438, which is the number of Lucifer, it lands on 5/13, May 13th, from the first of the year. It lands on May 13th, the 7,438 days. And if you add those dates up, 1 and 5 and 113, it equals 614, and that's Trump's birthday, 614. You see that? But look at the equation. So the 7,438 days, which is Lucifer's number, 7438, first of all, it's 1,062 weeks and 4 days. The 1,062 connects to June 11th. June 11th is the 162nd day of the year, so that's one connection. But here's what's important right here. You see it says 2,037.81%. So the 237 is what's important, and the date Elvis was born is 1/8 or 8/1, whatever way you want to see it. So 237. Like I said, be patient. I'm going to connect how it all connects in a moment to what I was showing you earlier. So 237, it would be like, this is what it would look like, because the 37 looks like the letters EL. So if you have two 37s, 3737, it equals 74, right? And I told you Lucifer, his first number was 74. Two L's, okay? Because I told you it's Elvis and Trump. And Elvis had an identical twin that died at birth. And the day that Elvis was born, January 8th, 1935, if you put that into the prime numbers, 1 equals 2, 8 equals 19, 19 equals 67, 35 equals 149, it equals 237. 237, get it? 237s, two ELs. Which goes back to what I showed you here. Which goes back to what I showed you, the 237s, get it? All right? And anyway, pay attention. Now you're going to see why I connected all this. So remember, I told you Lucifer and the word the king, the words the king equaled 7438. Okay, Lucifer equals 7438. And 7,438 days landed on May 13th, 5/13. And 5/13 just happens to be the 133rd day of the year. Do you see what I'm showing you? Which goes back and connects to the Space Needle, 133 the total, and all the other 133 connections I showed. And you remember this month chart that I created? So you look up here, okay? So January is the first month, and if you go forward to December, it's the 12th month, right? But instead of starting back to 1, I started 13. Okay, so the January is the first month, and 12 months later it'd be the 13th month, the 25th, and so on, right? And it just so happens that that 133 lands in the month of January, okay? And it's the 12th number down from the very top, okay, if you started from the other page like I just showed. So the 12th number down is 133. So this is what I'm talking about. So January's month, right? The first month would be for the first month, right? The first month. And then if you went all the way down, the 133 lands in the 12th spot, okay? And the 12th prime number equals 37. So again, it connects to the EL. Do you see what I'm saying? 37133. And that 37133 has the exact same numbers for Jesus's prime numbers. Okay, Jesus equals 7411 forward, 6134 backwards. But this is what's important. Remember, Lucifer equals 7438. Jesus equals 7411. Okay, because Jesus created Lucifer, and that's why he gave him a perfect name. And when Lucifer lost his crown, he became Satan. Okay. And that's why Lucifer had a 74 name, because Jesus created Lucifer. Anyway, because Jesus is God. 7411, right? Look at the number. 74. The 74th prime number is 373. The 11th is 31. It's the exact same numbers as what I just showed you. 37133. Watch. You remember I told you the January chart for the number 133 was the 12th number down. And the 12th prime number is 37. So if you look at the 37 and the 133, see, 37133. And remember, I showed you that the 331 is the 67th prime number, which equals Elvis and Jesse, his twin, 60, because they both equal 67, 67. The 67th prime number was 331. And Elvis starts with EL. The 37 is the EL. And look how important this number is. 404. 44. 44 is the day that the king, you remember I told you the word the king equaled Lucifer? Remember how I just connected everything? So Martin Luther King was assassinated on 4/4. You see that number I showed you, 4/4? And if you saw my more recent videos, I showed you how all that connects, the 4/4 to Martin Luther King many times. Anyway, and look where he died. Memphis, Tennessee. Elvis died in Memphis, Tennessee also. Okay? Elvis lived in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where Graceland is. And that's where Elvis ended up dying like 9 years later. Anyway, so the king, Elvis, had the king whacked. You understand? And by the way, I'm not saying he actually died. I don't have no clue. You know, we don't know what these guys are up to. All I'm saying is that it was a ritual for Elvis the King, and that's why Martin Luther King was assassinated. Which goes back to the real king, who is Jesus, okay, the king of all kings, and Jesus's prime numbers equaled 404. So when you see Martin Luther King being killed, you understand that they're killing Jesus. Because, like, you know, that's what they love to do, to crucify Jesus. Anyway, back to the 133 number. Anyway, if you don't remember all the 133 connections I showed in this video, go back and watch it again, okay? Anyway, because I kind of steered off course a little bit there. But Space Needle equals 8944, and the 133 is the total. And by the way, yes, I know that you have the 8-4 right here. Because Trump's going to get his head went on 8-4. Anyway, so the 133 is what we're talking about. And wouldn't you believe it, that when Elvis turns 88 next year, he's still going to be dead for 45 years, all the way until August 16th next year. He still will be dead for 45 years. So he turns 88 in January, still dead for 45 years, all the way until August 16th. If you add 88 plus 45, it equals 133. I mean, can you believe what you're seeing, folks? And Trump is the 45th president. Do you understand? And you know, I told you Elvis and Jesse, the identical twins, okay? The word twin equals 66, and Elvis equals 67, and Jesse spelled with an I equals 67. So if you take the word twin, it equals 66, and Elvis 67, it equals 133. Are you seeing how incredible this is? So the word twin equals 67, Elvis equals, twin equals 66, Elvis equals 67 equals 133. So the word, you know, it's not twins with an S, it's just twin. So the other twin, Jesse, okay, twin equals 66, Jesse equals 67 makes 133. So 133, 133. And by the way, it's spelled like this on his gravestone. Forget about the birth certificate. On the gravestone, it's spelled with an I, like this. And if you add the numbers up, it's 133 plus 133 for the two twins. It equals 266, which is the backwards of the where the identical twins Elvis and Jesse are born. Tupelo area code is 662-266. I mean, can you believe this, man? Unbelievable. So now pay attention closely. That way you can understand what I'm showing you. So the states where Elvis lived and was born in, he was born in Mississippi, lived in Tennessee and died in Tennessee, and and Washington is his target where he's going to make his return, okay? This is the state numbers. Now Trump, his state numbers are New York, where he's born. Now he's in Florida, and then he's got Ohio, okay? Where he comes back. This is where he's going to get his head wound, in Ohio, okay? If you add those dates up, check it out. It's 78 and 55. What do you get? 133. I mean, can you believe this, man? It just never ends. And remember, this is where Elvis was born, Mississippi. He died in Tennessee, and he's going to come back in Washington State. Remember, Elvis died at the age of 42, okay? And the 216th day of the year is August 4th, the day Trump gets his head wound in Ohio. And the 162nd day of the year is June 11th. You see, it's got the numbers of the dates of when these things are going to happen. Okay, 162nd day of the year is June 11th. 216 days, August 4th. My two prediction dates. And Elvis dies at the age of 42. Come on, folks. And speaking of... Oh, sorry about that. And speaking of the number 42, check this out. Lucifer, his numbers, 7438, which I told you is the more important number, the forward numbers. The only time that you'll see 7438 in a number, the very first time, is the number 42. Okay, Elvis died at the age of 42. Washington's the 42nd state. And it's in the backwards number of 42. Okay, so 42 equals 74 and 38. You see that? It's the first time you see a number when you're putting into the gematria calculator numbers. And the first time that you see 7438 in the forward number is 80, the number 80. So 80 and 42 are the only two times you see the number Lucifer. This one's more important because it's in the front. This is in the back, okay? Which is the number for Lucifer. And you will never see it again when you're writing numbers into the gematria calculator. There's the only time, 42 and 80. And if you look at the total for 80 and 42, look at that. Look down here. So the number 80 and 42, when you put them together into the gematria calculator, look what you get. 216 forward, 162 backwards. Can you believe this? The 216th day of the year is August 4th. The 162nd day of the year is June 11th. You see that? And it just so happens that this forward number, which is so important, 216, 81, 297, is the exact same for Elvis Aaron Presley in its forward number. Look at that. So look at what I just showed you, how I connected it to Lucifer, man. Wake up, man. All right? 216th day of the year is August 4th. June 11th is the 162nd day of the year. And just like I showed you where Elvis and Jesse, where Elvis lived and died, was in the 16th state and the 20th state, connecting the same numbers again. The identical twins were born on 1/8. So there was two of them, right? 1/8 is 216. That's August 4th. 8/1, when you say the dates backwards like they do in London and UK, 8/1 is 16/2. 216, 16/2. Do you see that? June 11th is the 162nd day of the year. 16/2, 216. And they were both born on January 8th, right? I had to correct that spelling. Sorry. I had to add that H. I forgot to write it. So when you write the words January 8th and put a crown on it, the letter O is a crown. January 8th, the date that the identical twins were born, look what happens to the number. You get 162 forwards, which is the June 11th date, and then you get the 216 backwards, which is August 4th, which is perfect because June 11th comes first, the 162nd day of the year. 216th day is August 4th, comes after June 11th, okay? And like I always show, to add insult to injury, the words identical twins equals 162 forward, 216 backwards. Okay, you understand? June 11th, August 4th. You can't make this stuff up. It's impossible, okay? Elvis is the one, and Trump is his devil twin. He was the replacement twin for Jesse, who was either sacrificed or whatever happened to him, or he could be alive. Who knows? Could he be Trump? It's a very slim chance, but anything's possible. And remember, I told you that the Space Needle equals 89, 44, 133. And what's in between 89 and 44? Like, what do you need to make 89 if you have 44? 44 plus 45 equals 89. You see what I'm saying? And Trump is the 44th person to become president, and he's the 45th actual president. So 44, 45 he is. And Obama's the 44th president, and Obama was born on 8/4, the day Trump gets his head wound. It's all connected. Anyway, so the total was 133, right? And I told you that it's the same numbers as 331, but backwards. Trump was born on the 165th day of the year, and on leap year, it's the 166th day. If you add it up, it's 331, you see? And you've been watching my videos lately, you know I've shown you all the connections to Trump's birthday. And I already showed you this earlier, that Elvis and Jesse both equal 67. The 67th prime number is 331, which is the backwards 133. Which connects to Tupelo because I told you Elvis and Jesse, they both equal 67. They're identical twins. The 67th prime is 331. If you add the other 67 is 331, you get 662. Which goes back to the Tupelo area code where the identical twins were born. 66 twice, get it? Twin equals 66. The word twin equals 66 twice. I'm not sure if this is significant to you guys. If you know my videos, you might understand this. So the prime numbers, right? The first prime number equals 2. And if you go all the way to the 33rd, and the reason I'm doing that is because remember, the space needle equaled 133, the total. So if you take that 1, add it to this, it'd be 133, right? So the first prime number is 2, then the other one is 137. So if you did that, look at that. It's 2137. And the 322nd prime number is 2137. If you take the 2, put it here, 2137, okay? Or you could just look at this, the 33rd prime number is 137. And first of all, I was showing you the 322 because Elvis is the head of Skull and Bones, okay? He's the one. And that's why Bush is connected to the Twin Towers. Anyway, the 33rd prime number, because 33 is important to this puzzle too. Anyway, it goes right back to Jesus again, the numbers, because prime numbers for Jesus' name is 7411. Look, remember I was showing you the 33rd prime number was 137. You have the 33137. All right? Which is what I was showing you here. The 33rd was 137. Anyway. But what I was showing you was if you take the 1 added to the 33, it's the 133 because the space equaled 133. Then you take this number added here is 2137. 2137, that's the 322nd prime, which is the Skull and Bones number. Elvis is the head of Skull and Bones. And by the way, the reason that this is so important because the 21st prime number is 73. Okay? And I told you 73 looks like the letters 37. I mean, the number 37 looks like 73, which is the EL. Okay? Looks like the letters EL. I'm telling you guys, you need to go back and watch this video. Before I show you the last thing, you need to go back and watch all the 133 connections I'm showing. If you wrote down every 133 connection, you'd see how many it was. You'd say it's incredible. All right, so remember, the Space Needle equals 133. And remember, Space Needle equals fallen angel, Lucifer. And I connected all the Lucifer to the word the king. Elvis is a representation of Lucifer. You understand? So anyway, the Space Needle, which is the fallen angel, equaled 133. And from the day Washington State was founded, because that's where the Seattle Space Needle is. I told you Seattle is in King County. Elvis was known as the king. From that exact day to June 11th next year, the Washington State will still be 133 years. Let me show you the next equation before I talk about this. So on 11/11 next year, which would be the birth date of the founding date of Washington State, it becomes 134 years. It'll turn old. And look at the amount of months. 1,608 months. Elvis died on 8/16. You see? But this is after my predictions. Because my predictions happen on June 11th and August 4th. Okay? So that's when it turns 134. So when my two predictions happen, it'll still be 133 years. You see, it's that 133 number again. And notice, you got the 3 and 7 together there too, which is the EL. Okay? I mean, I could show you much more. Look, you have the 66 for the twin. Look at this. Look at this. 69, that's a circle, which is a crown. 69, circle. You get a 6 again. If you've seen my videos from a long time ago, you've seen how it's connected to my heaven videos with the 69, 69, 6. And if you still don't believe the fallen angel thing, I told you Space Needle equals fallen angel. You remember this baseball player video that I did? I'm not going to talk about it because I'm running out of space in my recording. So they were calling him a fallen angel because he played for the Angels and he died. And what was he wearing? The number 45. They made such a big deal. They made rituals around the mound because he was a pitcher. Because I told you the mound is the number 1 spot. You understand? Anyway, he wore the number 45 for Elvis being dead for 45 years. Trump being the 45th president. They were saying fallen angel. Get it? Like I said, this guy died, and look at the emblem. Look at that big A, like the Space Needle with a crown. Do you see it? Just like this. See, this is a Space Needle. Look. An A with a crown. And this is what it looks like outside that stadium where that fallen angel died, the pitcher. This is what's right outside their stadium. Look at that. Looks just like the Space Needle. And the fact that he died... You see how it looks like an A with a crown on the top? And like I said, Elvis has been dead for 45 years and Trump is the 45th president. Anyway, don't get my predictions mixed up. Go watch this video again if you didn't understand. End of video.